What's good, my Locs and Locettes? It's your boy Christopher Wright, and I'm back here again with another video. And in this video, this marks a whole landmark of videos, a series that I will have calling the LOC Stories series. And in these videos, I just will be giving everything that I have in my head over locks, dreadlocks, the terms, the conditions, the things that I dealt with, the things that other people dealt with, and things that we all have in our head that may be similar, that may be relevant to you. But in this video, we're going to get down on it. And so this video right here is LOC Stories, episode 1, Life with Alopecia while having locks. So guys, let's dive right into the video. So first off, I want to start by saying, guys, the thing that you want to do is, before we even dive into the rest of this, make sure that you go and check with a physician, which is your dermatologist and triologist, I think, dermatologist and triologist, if that's correct, guys. But make sure you check with them before making any crash moves, any crash decisions. Before you self-diagnose yourself, make sure that you understand exactly what the problem is and why you have alopecia. And I always want to put that as a disclaimer, because these are my opinions. These are the things that I've done. These are the things that I looked into, and these are the things that how I maintain my condition. And yours may be a different case. And so you just don't want to just go and try things without knowing what your condition is and what the problem is and how to address it. So let's start it off, man. Alopecia Keisha. Man, it's a problematic thing. Hair loss in general is a problematic thing. People don't like it. Nobody likes to deal with it. Nobody looks forward to it. And it happens. And let's see right here. Man, I can't see it as much. And if you couldn't see that, it's because sometimes I use a rinse. A jet black rinse in order to cover it sometimes. More times out of none, I really don't care if people see it. And I only use the rinse every now and then. But it helps, cover it up and make it look like my hair when I feel more encouraged to step out with it. And I'm now beginning to enjoy what it is, and so I'm stepping out more, not even caring about spraying it and stuff like that. How I was subconscious about it. I was very down about it, and it was very disappointing to have, because I was a guy that always had hair on my head, never had problems. But, in my younger years, I was using all kind of stuff, man. We were using all kind of stuff to have the hairstyles we wanted. We were using all kind of chemicals, all kind of sprays and spritz and all kind of stuff that made my hair straight in the beginning. And it took me realizing that I didn't want to do that anymore, and I wanted to have my hair more natural before I actually even got into locks. But when I went to braids and stuff like that, but even when I did braids, I still was perming my hair, all kind of stuff, so I could have that straight hair. And I tell you one funny thing though, Omarion off of B2K, man, and Omarion off of B2K, and Spectacular from Pretty Ricky, man, they were a heavy influence on me when I had my fro. I had a huge fro, and I permed it myself. And guys, you would think, whoa, this guy perming his hair. Yeah, it shocked me. And I knew the risk, I knew the danger in doing it, but I know nobody else would do it for me. So I done it myself, and it actually came out correct. I didn't burn my hair, I didn't do it. It dropped like I was supposed to drop. And it was crazy, man. Girls loved it, man. But I loved it because I wanted them silky braids, man. I never was the type that had the silky braids, man. I wanted your back to come down straight instead of curl. Mine always curled up the top after a while. After I got it done, it always curled up, and it was just annoying, man. I wanted them to be straight. I wanted to be long. But my hair texture, my hair type is hella kinky, very kinky. My hair is very, very kinky. And those are just the problems I dealt with, just like the sponging I mentioned in previous videos before. Like, that's just my hair, and it aggravates me because water hits it and it shrivels. And I always wanted that big, massive fro. I always wanted that cylindrical fro. But I never could get that, and so braids was my thing. And I never had problems with braids. I didn't start seeing problems when I cut my first set of locks. And by doing that, I guess I cut them incorrectly, because I cut them. Well, I didn't want to go to the barber and cut them all the way off because I wanted to retain some of my hair. And at that time, I didn't even know locks could be even combed out. I thought they were permanent. As soon as you had them, you had to get them cut, because there's no way that you can unlock that hair. And that was 5.5 years of growth. 5.5 years of growth. And so with that, I decided to cut my hair, and this was 2012. I decided to cut my hair, cut the locks off to the furthest extent of the new growth, as much as I can get from the new growth. And you know how certain, I don't know if you ever felt this or ever went through this, but you know how you cut your hair a certain way and you get that little patch, that little spot. And I guess on one of the locks, it was just too low and it wasn't a lot of new growth. And I cut it, and it actually left a little patch on my side. And I was very disappointed. And it was like, because it was just one patch that was right here, I think, yeah, right here. And it was aggravating. I had all this other fro and everything like that, and I was going to try to regrow them. But when I seen that patch, and I couldn't do anything about it, and I just had to go get it cut, and I shaved off my entire sides, and I had the high top fade, which was getting back into its groove, the high top fade, but it was the high top fade with the curls, so it was kind of like the Albie Shore look a little bit. And you know, some of these revolutionary styles come back around full circle, and so this one in particular came back around in full circle. So I was like, man, let's do it, because everybody was doing the taper fro, the tapered, you know, taper mini fro or whatever, or tip fade we used to call it. But they were doing that, and I decided to do the high top fade. But I wanted curls in my hair. My hair was not that curly enough to do that, you know. So I had added texturizer, a certain texturizer that I was using constantly to maintain that. And so I maintained it for a while. I went home for a funeral, and this is where everything went left. I went home for a funeral, and I ran out of the texture that I had, the texturizer that I had. And I went to Walmart, and I was searching, I was searching everywhere for this texturizer brand, and I just could not find it. So I had to get a substitute brand, and I was just only going to use it for that moment, because I knew when I got back up to to Atlanta, that I was going to, and I'm from Savannah, by the way, and so I just knew that I was going to get that when I got back. So I didn't want to, and really, to be all fair, I could have went without it, but I was just being extra. You know, people ain't seen me in a long time. I wanted to be stylish. I want to make sure that I was good. You know what I'm saying? I was looking good like I normally feel and look. You know what I mean? So I wanted to continue that look up, and I wanted to keep it kept up. So I got that texturizer, and that texturizer was a disaster. Yeah, it came out right, don't get me wrong. But me using another texturizer for so long and then going to use that one was a big mistake, because I had a certain system, a certain regimen when I used those texturizers and how it worked. But me adding in a whole different other chemical did something horrible to my hair. Like after that day and I got back home, my entire scalp was pussy. It was burning. It was on fire. It was red. I mean, it was just, everything at the top of my head was just, man, it was crazy. And I mean, I was running, but you didn't know it until, you know what I'm saying, you started itching. You're like, man, I'm obsessively itching scratching my head, and it's just like, what is going on? And so I started, siphoning through my hair, peeling that so I could see my scalp, and it was just so pussy and red and peely, and I was like, what the hell going on? What is going on with my hair? And so when I looked into it, and I realized, man, that texturizer, the chemical in that texturizer really burnt my scalp, like really messed me up bad, to the point where I had to go get my hair cut. I had to go get my hair cut completely. I said, you know what? I want to see the damage. Let me get it completely cut all the way off. I had my hair completely cut all the way off. Now, before I did that, I was already trying to treat my scalp. So I laid off the texturizers. I laid off all the chemical stuff. And I started trying to put different oils in to treat my scalp. I used different shampoos to try to treat it. So it came down. But when I cut my hair completely, man, this whole entire spot right here was white. It was ridiculous, man. You can imagine the feeling I went through when I seen my it felt like the skin was like ripped. And that's what marked the spot and a landmark in time, a spark in time, where I said there would be no more chemical in my head. There would be no more chemical in my head. So I stayed with the low cut for a long time. And that's more than normal, because the only time I had low cuts like that is when I was back in, elementary, when I was younger and stuff like that, man. And I had every hairstyle you could think of. I had the hot top box. I had the bald head, completely Michael Jordan bald head. I had the schoolboy looks, the low cuts with the Michael Jordan symbol. My favorite number at the time was 33 and 32. Then I used to have the Jordan symbol, the Nike symbol, the Reebok symbol. I had my name spelled in my head. Like I had a lot of designs and stuff like that at that time. And I could never grow my fro, like, because my dad always had us go get our hair cut constantly. And every time I felt like it was growing, and I pick it out, and next thing you know, we're trimming it. And I used to get aggravated. I used to hate that, because people like, oh man, you got the Kobe fro. You got the cake grow fro, the Kobe fro, man. And that was the issue. And I hated that. And I was like, man, when I finally get old enough to grow my own hair, I'm not cutting it. I'm going all out. I didn't start getting braids till my senior year. So that was crazy enough. But yeah, man, that made a big change, and I started rocking my low cuts. And so at that time I decided to grow my hair again, but I was just gonna grow the fro and see how it went. And and this was towards graduation. It was in 2015 I started growing my hair. So I actually grew a little bit before 2015, but it was getting back into itself in 2015. And so I started my second locks at that time. And I had one of my homegirls from the previous warehouse I used to work at. And she started my hair. And one thing about it, my entire scalp was still white and everything. But the hair grew back. The hair grew in all those areas, but it still had that white layer on the scalp. And so this particular area was just very very noticeable. So when the locs came that first go, and I had them start off small, everything, and eventually I doubled up and I started my second set of locks, which I seen that the size were not complying. They were not, cooperating and growing with the rest of the hair. So I said, you know what? Let me shave my size off and let me just do the top. Let me just have the top grow. And I did the little Mad Max look. And so when I combined it, I did a lot of double twisting. So I two strand a lot of those locks to combine them to make them thicker, because I want them thicker this round, because I didn't want them. Because the issue with me cutting my first set of locks was because a lot of them started thinning off, but you know, it was just I guess in a way, the lack of care, because I didn't care as much as I should have, because after that I started freeforming. But I didn't care as much, and plus I had too many hands in my head, and everybody wanted to, you know, twist your hair at that time, especially when, oh, I love your hair, well, let me twist it. Oh man, I had so many women do my hair up here in Atlanta till it was ridiculous. So I actually sought out a loctician, and I think I met her off of Instagram at that time. Met her off of Instagram and Facebook, and then we got to talking and this and that, and so she stayed in Lawrenceville, and she said, you know, she can do my hair. So she maintained my hair for a pretty long time, and I did my own dyes. And so by me doing my dyes, that's what kind of corrupted, you know what I'm saying? It got me in a worse position than what I was when I first seen my scalp doing that. So once I was coming to her frequently and everything was good, like everything looked like it was doing its thing. Like it looked like my hair was getting back in a healthy state, and I was using all natural products, and she created this locking product with shea butter and this, that, and the third, and we were just doing some very good things with my hair. And plus she used to braid them and everything like that, and I always used to go to my barber out here, that T-Boy, and he used to T-Bow, and he used to keep my side shaved off, so I just had the top and whatever like that, and I'll show you in the picture right here. But yeah, man. And so once we did that, I decided to start dyeing my hair. And when I did, which I should have done, and I didn't notify her about the dye, she would have actually done it for me the right way. But when I dyed my hair, I only put the color in. I never did the bleaches. I only put the color in. And I wanted the blonde look, so I went for, you know what I'm saying, your honey blonde. I did your honey blonde, and then I done your lightest blonde, and I waited like a month and a half before I done the next, you know, the lightest blonde. And so I did it, but what messed me up is I was already in the natural state, and I started using Pantene, the Pantene that came in the package, which was a more chemical base. And plus, a lot of the dyes, like, they dried my hair out, and I wanted to get my hair back in its most natural state, but it's difficult to do that when you're using those dyes, because the chemical that keeps that product the way it is, and how it affects, you know, your hair in a natural state is detrimental to you, because you can't win. So you will have to do double the work in order to get your hair back in the state that it was naturally in. And so I did that, and I found out that, you know, my spots started getting worse. It started worsening, and then the braids that I constantly kept my locks in, and so the braids that I kept my locks in really started, you know, opening up that spot even more. And I didn't know that was alopecia, and I was just hoping that I didn't have, you know, significant hair loss or whatever like that. And I was just in denial, hoping like, man, what's going on? Like, I hope this goes away. I know it's gonna go away. I just gotta give it time. Like, I just gotta get away from it, because I used the wrong shampoo when I was using shea moisturizers, you know what I'm saying, shampoos, and it's just, it was horrible, man. So I eventually cut the second set of locks after a year. I cut them off. So I cut those locks off to then rock the low haircut for a little while. It didn't last long, man. I'm gonna tell you, me with low haircut does not last long. I tried, but it does not last long at all. But so I went through that, and did, I did the Martin look a little bit, but I didn't let it get as high. But I did the light fade, and I kept that look for a while, and then I eventually said, you know what, I'm gonna grow a mohawk. And then I did my mohawk, and not to get too extensive on the mohawk, and I did that for a couple years. And so I'll say right into 2016 all the way 2018 I had my mohawk, so that's about a good 3 years. And I was using natural things to actually make my hair curly, because once again, I wanted that curly look, because that's what everybody doing, the Odell Beckham look. Everybody wanted that look, so we were all constantly shooting for that look. At first, it started off with the Usher look, but I wanted my back to be more triangular, you know what I'm saying, versus the wide look that Usher used to rock. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna do more triangular, and then I want to do the Odell Beckham in time, but I want my mohawk to get pretty high. And it actually stood pretty high, but once again, I got the spongy hair, so you wouldn't really see it, and it got very difficult because I got that 4C type, texture hair, and it kinky. It's very kinky. So whenever it washed, I used to have heck picking it out. Like, I used to have trouble picking it constantly, keeping up with it, and then trying to make the curls and this and that. And I did the sponging. I sponged it and everything like that. It kind of give you that, the twisted mohawk look, the twisted fro look, whatever. Whatever we were doing these days, to keep up with these different types of hairstyles at the time. But I did that, and after a while I seen, the spot kind of healing a little bit, but then here I go again, doing the braids, because it was just, I hate my hair out when it doesn't give me the look that I desire, so I hated my hair out. And so I kept with the braids. I did a lot of the braids. And then once I got done with the braids, and you know what, I said, I am going to try to see if I can just allow my hair to heal and grow and do its own thing, and see if I can get a fro again, and see if I can get the fro that I desire again. So I cut my hair out completely. I'll say around mid-2018, so it wasn't a complete 3 years, or a little late. It was after November when I cut that. So I cut that, and I grew my fro. So I kept the low look, but then I grew my fro back out to see if I would see difference, and I started to not see difference in this center piece right here. So I had a recommendation from KKB Salon, a lady named Kenyatta, and that's who introduced the Nora's growth oil to me, which was the hair growth serum that I use, and she recommended that to me, and we started seeing progression, we started seeing changes, because I was still going there and trying to get, braids and stuff like that done to get my fro to grow a little bit more, not knowing that I'm adding more damage to the area, because I didn't know about the traction alopecia and everything like that. But I just thought I was I don't know, I was in denial. But I started realizing, man, I'm going through something. Like, something is hugely wrong with my hair, and I'm not growing any hair in that spot. So then I started trying other things. Before I started my third set, but the first try, I went to places like, Bosley, and to be quite honest, at that time, I didn't go to a dermatologist. I didn't take my own advice. I kind of already, self-diagnosed myself and seen through, past experiences, and then correspond that with what, the condition was. And I seen the similarities, and I was like, you know what? That's more likely what I got. And so Eventually I did, but that's after I went to Bosley and then and realized that was not for me and that was not gonna do it. And so I found out, I had traction alopecia, and by me doing them hard braids and the heating of my hair and these log gels and the tight twisting and braiding was just causing more damage, more issues than, than a little bit for my hair. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna stop all that. And when I do this third set of locks, I want to get locks because locks are meant for me. Locks are meant for my hair because I enjoy myself with locks. I can't stay without hair. I can't do the low cuts too long because I look like a little boy and my facial hair don't grow in at all, barely. So it's like I can't even get nothing going. So with the ball, I will always look young. So I said locks is just for me. Locks are for me. I remember it was very controversial back at home when I was trying to, being my parents church going and my dad being the pastor and everything like that. And dreadlocks at the time, they were not like really sought after at our house. They were not embraced at our household. I had to eventually prove to them that regardless of how you felt, I was going to get them. It's what I wanted to do, and we just got to get out of that stipulation and the statistic behind it. So I took the chance and I dove in, and they, they went with me. They supported me. Maybe they, at that time they didn't like me as much, and I get it. That's just typical. But they supported me but all the way up to this point, I said, you know what, I'm a freeform and I'm not going to do any heavy manipulation. I'm not going to do anything. So I did extensive research on naturalists and being a loctician and learning how I want to approach these locks and freeforming and all the things to stay in the most natural state. And so that's what got me up to this point, to where I did my first set in the third. I did my first try on the third set, and I just didn't see what I wanted to, but I did see the growth here because that's the main topic of this video. I did see change here after using a plethora of products which were more natural based in oils and hair serums, and then the multivitamins, and then the hair, skin, and nail vitamins and things like that, and changing my diet because I've always been a water drinker, and so that just helped a lot more. So now I'm seeing change in my hair and I'm seeing the difference, and so I will give you more update when that time comes. So guys, having locks with alopecia, it's different because I've seen a lot of people. I didn't see a lot of videos on YouTube about it. Like a lot of people didn't, post a lot about it. A lot of people not courageous enough to post their own journey about that. I didn't see a lot of videos of myself when I was looking for it. And I said, that's what I wanted to do different with this channel. I want to be brave enough for you guys in order to show that and to prove to you that change can be had, and you should feel good about that condition. You should feel good about it because change will come eventually, and we have to stop being discouraged and being let down or feeling subconscious about the errors or the defects or conditions that we have, and starting embracing it and loving it and enjoying it and living our best life. And so we have to let go of those things, let go of those fears, and let go of those doubts and those illusions, and then start enjoying ourselves, enjoying our hair in the process and everything. And so guys, I want to say, like, you gotta stay away from certain things. You gotta stay away from tight braiding, tight retwist, different products, heavy products. You gotta stay away from I'm not saying that lining, doing the lineups affects your hair growth, but it does nip. And some barbers are horrible, and they will nip into your lock and start shedding away your lock without you even noticing. It pushes your hairline back. But the heavy ponytails, the heavy pulling, all that stuff is factors that will corrupt your hair growth and allow hair loss to pick up. And so guys, like, it's just been an experience, and I say all that because, guys, I'm giving you experiences. And so guys, I want to encourage you to go out and do your own research, to go out and go to your dermatologist or your triologist and figure out what those conditions are for you, and how to have a better chance and a better success to improve them, so you come out on the winning side. And so guys, that will conclude our first episode of the LOC Stories, which was life with alopecia while having locks. Guys, I hope you like this video. If you like the content, like the video, leave a comment so we can discuss on future LOC Story events and conversations. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on the videos that come in. And guys, all my Lockies and Locettes, this is your boy Christopher Wright, and I'm signing out, and I love you guys. Peace.